Hello, my name is Rich Austin, and I'm honored to serve as Milton's police chief. I have the privilege of leading a nationally accredited police agency with officers and civilian employees that have a true passion for serving our community. National Police Week is an annual celebration dating back to a 1962 proclamation issued by then President John F. Kennedy. Typically, National Police Week activities draw tens of thousands of law enforcement officers from all around the world to Washington, D.C. for planned events. For the past several years, we at the Milton Police Department have held our own outreach and memorial events. This year, these activities, both locally and nationally, were canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, we have continued this tradition of National Police Week celebration and commemoration. We're just doing it virtually. This week, we have posted several items on the city's and police department social media, highlighting not only National Police Week, but how the Milton Police Department serves our community. These posts have highlighted roles within the department and why individual officers have chosen to serve here. We are fortunate in Milton to have a great community that supports us in all we do. One of the most important and moving ceremonies during Police Week involves commemorating the lives of officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. In this presentation, we will honor the sacrifice of 7 officers who gave their lives in 2019 while serving in communities throughout Georgia. Thank you for taking the time to commemorate them with us.
Deputy Sheriff Joshua Brian L.J. Ryer, Jr., Glasscock County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Sheriff L.J. Ryer was killed in a vehicle crash in January 2019 while en route to the Regional Youth Detention Center in Washington, Georgia to pick up an inmate. His patrol car collided with another vehicle at the intersection of Andrew Drive and Georgia Route 47. Deputy Ryer had served the Glasscock County Sheriff's Office for only 5 months. Deputy Sheriff 2 Spencer Allen Inglet, Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Sheriff Spencer Inglet suffered a traumatic medical event during the spring of 2019 while participating in a training exercise at the Basic Police Officer Training Program at the Georgia Public Safety Training Center in Jasper, Georgia. He collapsed during the exercise and was immediately attended to by training staff and medical personnel. He was transported to a local hospital where he passed away a short time later. Deputy Inglet had served with the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office for 2 years, and for 6 years previously had been with the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office and Oconee County Sheriff's Office. He is survived by his wife. Sergeant Kelvin Bernard Ansari, Savannah Police Department. Sergeant Kelvin Ansari was shot and killed last May as he attempted to apprehend a robbery suspect in Savannah. He and other officers had responded to a robbery at a barbershop in the 2300 block of Bull Street. The suspect was believed to have left the area. In fact, he was inside a nearby vehicle. As Sergeant Ansari checked the area, the man exited and opened fire on him and another officer, striking them both. The subject fled into a nearby residential area where he was found a short time later hiding in a shed. As responding officers ordered him to surrender, he exited the shed and opened fire again. He was fatally wounded by return gunfire. After retiring from the U.S. Army, Sergeant Ansari had served with the Savannah Police Department for 10 years. He is survived by his wife and 4 children.
Deputy Jailer Michaela Elizabeth Smith, Murray County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Jailer Michaela Smith succumbed last summer to injuries sustained during defensive tactics training in Whitfield County. Deputy Jailer Smith was completing her jailer certification requirements, which involved defensive tactics and being pepper sprayed, when she was struck in the head. She returned home following the pepper spraying practical and then went to the hospital with head injury symptoms. She was treated and released, only to be readmitted to the hospital in the morning when her condition worsened. Deputy Jailer Smith became unresponsive after returning to the hospital and passed away on July 3rd, 2019. She had served with the Murray County Sheriff's Office for only 6 months. She is survived by her parents. Deputy Sheriff Nicholas Blaine Dixon, Hall County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Sheriff Nicholas Dixon was shot and killed following a nighttime vehicle pursuit of a stolen vehicle in Hall County last July. Law enforcement had spotted a vehicle connected to several recent burglaries and car break-ins. When deputies tried to stop it, a vehicle pursuit began until the suspect car crashed. Multiple people then got out of the car and fled on foot. Deputy Dixon pursued one of the suspects and exchanged shots with him in the 600 block of Highland Avenue. During this exchange, Deputy Dixon was fatally shot and the suspect was seriously wounded. Deputy Dixon was transported to a local hospital where he died shortly after midnight. A second suspect was apprehended approximately 8 hours later, and the two remaining suspects were apprehended the following day. One of the men who was taken into custody was charged with murder. Deputy Dixon had served with the Hall County Sheriff's Office for 3 years. He is survived by his wife, 2 sons, parents, 2 brothers, and grandparents.
Detective James Joseph Biello, Atlanta Police Department. Detective J.J. Biello succumbed in July to gunshot wounds sustained years earlier while working a secondary employment job at Provino's Italian restaurant in Atlanta. On April 15, 1987, an armed juvenile had entered the restaurant and announced a robbery. As he had an employee remove money from the cash register, Detective Biello approached him from behind and identified himself. The juvenile turned around and opened fire, striking Detective Biello in the chest and abdomen. Detective Biello returned fire, wounding the suspect. The suspect nonetheless managed to shoot Biello in the neck and flee. As he did, another officer fired shots at him. The injured suspect was arrested a short time later. Detective Biello's wounds rendered him a quadriplegic, confining him to a wheelchair. On July 29, 2019, he succumbed to complications from the original gunshot wounds. The subject who shot him was convicted of aggravated assault and armed robbery and sentenced to 60 years following the initial incident. At the time of the shooting, Detective Biello had served with the Atlanta Police Department for 15 years. Investigator Cecil Dwayne Ridley, Richmond County Sheriff's Office. Investigator Cecil Ridley was shot and killed in November while conducting a subject stop at an Augusta convenience store. At the time, Investigator Ridley was conducting proactive patrols with other members of the narcotics unit in response to recent gun violence. They observed a group of individuals loitering in front of a convenience store at the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard near 12th Street and attempted to contact them. Upon seeing the investigators, one of the subjects walked into the store yet was approached by a deputy inside. He began walking back outside when he saw Investigator Ridley walking into the store. The man immediately opened fire, striking Investigator Ridley. Other deputies returned fire as the subject fled into the parking lot, wounding him before taking him into custody. The subject who shot Investigator Ridley was on parole for possession of cocaine with intent to distribute.
Thank you for taking the time to honor and commemorate the lives of these fallen heroes. And thank you for recognizing National Police Week with us in this virtual format. We look forward to continuing in service to our community in the coming year.